Hello. So I wanted to discuss this paper. Attention is all you need, because it introduces a new architecture called a transformer. Uses attention for neural machine translation, in fact. And I found this paper interesting for several reasons. First of all, it's reasonably recent. It's been 2 years ago. But in these 2 years, in fact, it has become the de facto standard, in my impression at least. It has displaced all the LSTMs, like recurrent networks, in this task of machine learning translation, neural machine translation. And also the paper in itself builds on lots of previous elements, previous research, so obliges you in fact to be quite thorough. So it's a good I think starting point or way to dig into the subject. Also, Carlos had suggested last time that maybe I would do a quick refresher on LSTMs or regular networks, because apparently it's not something you've touched in the paper club for some time. So I tried to do that at the beginning. So first of all, I saw that slide in an SCL conference like a couple of years ago. So it's up to 2016. It's a kind of a history of machine translation. And what I find super interesting in this document, even though it's obviously not up to date, is the fact that neural machine translation only appears, in fact, in 2014, really, so like 5 years ago. Before that, they were using, this I'm not too sure what that is, but here it's all about statistical machine translation, which were using like, n-grams, single words, and all kind of algorithms based on what's it called again, the EM, expectation maximization algorithm as well. So maybe there was one turning point in this timeline in 2003, when there was this idea of turning the discrete words into vectors, what we call now embedding, because before you had all this problem of sparsity, which was like more or less intractable. And from this idea, we were able they were able to use a continuous representation of words. But then it's really in 2014 that the neural networks, which had been used before here, but as part of the models, as supplements to the statistical models, they're starting to be using end-to-end only like 5 years ago. So that's fairly recent. And in these 5 years, many things have happened. The transformer being almost one of the latest of these. Well, this is focusing on machine translation, but I believe machine translation is quite an important part of NLP, because it's arguably the most visible, the most complex part of it. And you might argue that NLP also is if you understand language, you understand pretty much everything. So I think it's still a relevant subject. I found this picture, like, actually it was 2 days ago, in a newspaper called The Australian. It was about actually China, so that's why it's only like that Chinese translations, but I don't think the problem is restricted to China. I believe like neural translation can still probably help humankind at some point. So anyway, so in terms of architectures, the kind of a reference architecture for me is the feed-forward network, where the main unit is a node, where nothing actually happens. It's more like a matrix before the node. Then you have like a non-linearity, then another matrix. So the node is pretty much a placeholder, but there's nothing there. The input is a scalar, there's no time weights, it's kind of a simple architecture. Moving from this, the convolutional network, we don't have a node, it's a cell. For me, it's a big difference, because suddenly it's processing a sequence as opposed to a scalar. And instead of being just an empty node, it takes the sequence and boom, 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 takes all the filter of the kernel across the sequence, and it actually does some work. And the cell is actually processing the sequence with time weights, that it's the same kernel that you move, like different stride or whatever. And the process is in parallel, because of course you can imagine that you do this way, but you could apply all the kernels at the same time, of course, in the sentence. And one of the important properties of this is that it's translation invariant, as we know, so that's why it's been used so much in image recognition. Of course, for language, it might not be such a good property, because being translation invariant means that if you say it's not good, it's actually pretty bad, and it's not bad, it's actually pretty good. If it's translation invariant, it doesn't really matter, it is the same kind of meaning. So it might be useful for kind of sentiment analysis, but if you go to analysis the sentence in more detail, this is not that great. Then there was the recurrent networks. So it's still a cell that all the heavy lifting, it still goes through the sequence, it's still at tight weights, but it works sequentially. That the little cell takes the first element of the sequence, then the second, then the third, and so on and so forth. And what's great about this is that regardless of the size of the sequence, you can still process it, because even with convolutions, if you take a convolution to a sequence of a certain length, the next one has a length dependent on it, and if you want to cover everything, you have sometimes to have like nested convolution and so on and so forth. So that's a real difference. Also, it's position aware. One of the problems is sequential, and being sequential, it takes more time, and you won't have a global view maybe. But that's in a nutshell, that's a chain of recurrent versus convolutional. I'm assuming, is anyone current with recurrent networks, LSTMs, non-linear principle, yeah? And finally, the self-attention, well, it's still a cell doing the work, it still treats a sequence. I'm not totally sure if it has tight weights or not. I'm not sure if that's exactly applicable. I couldn't really answer this question, so maybe that would be an interesting clarification to get to today. It works in parallel, which is quite an advantage over the recurrent system. But also because it's in parallel and it's in one go, a bit like a convolution, it's able to capture long-term dependencies, which was a problem with the sequential networks, and even more with the previous systems. They used to work with the analyzing within the proximity of a word, but if you have a sentence like, if you say my car is blue, that's not too difficult. If you say my car, whom I bought a few years ago in Plymouth from this gentleman who had a nice moustache, which reminded me of my grandfather, and which is blue, it might be a bit more difficult for anybody, and especially a machine, to actually understand if it relates to the car. So that's, I think, one of the advantages of this. All right. So in the paper, and probably I'm putting this like a little bit ahead, but they compare precisely the self-attention, recurrent, and convolutional in terms of how complex it is, how sequential it is, and what's the maximum path length, which is how far do you have to go from the further between two words. And you see that the recurrent, you have to go n ways from one word to the other. If one word is n away from another, you have to go to n steps. The convolutional log n, if it's a stacked, dilated convolution, and self-attention is instant. That's one of the advantages, of course. The sequential operations, well, they're all non-sequential apart from the recurrent networks, which makes a difference. And in terms of complexity, what's interesting is that the recurrent network, the complexity is proportional to the dimension of the space, of the embedding space. So in the paper, it's 512, meaning that your words are projected in a space of dimension 512. It's already a few hundred normally to represent vocabulary. And D is the length of the sequence. N is the length of the sequence. And usually, if you treat a sequence, the sequence is shorter than 512 words. So from that perspective, the self-attention is more efficient, less complex than the recurrent. Okay, and you can see that the convolutional is the kind of same order of magnitude of the recurrent. And they find also a way to even reduce this. The idea being that you restrict the attention